Let me tell you something strange about the internet. We have built a world where people share everything, from what they ate for breakfast to their deepest heartbreak. Scroll for a few minutes, and you will see confessions that, just 20 years ago, would have only been whispered to a private diary, now typed out for millions to read. But here is the question that nobody really asks. Why? Why does oversharing feel so natural, even when we know it might come back to haunt us later? At first glance, it looks like simple attention-seeking, maybe validation or loneliness. But the truth is far deeper than that. What is happening when someone overshares is not just social behavior, it is psychology in motion. It is the mind trying desperately to be seen. Every human being is wired with an invisible need, the need to be understood. This is ancient. Long before screens, our ancestors sat around fires, sharing their fears, triumphs, and secrets. They shared not for likes, but for belonging. Sharing was how we survived emotionally. It was proof that we existed and that someone else could hold our truth for a moment. When those campfires were replaced with screens, that instinct did not vanish. It simply changed form. The internet became our new fire. But there is a twist in the digital sharing process. According to research from Harvard University, when we talk about ourselves, our brain's reward centers light up. These are the same areas triggered by food, money, and even affection. The act of revealing personal information literally makes us feel good because it releases dopamine. It gives us a hit of emotional validation. In a world where many people feel unseen, that tiny digital acknowledgement to heart, a comment to "me too," can feel like a lifeline. When that reward system is continually triggered, our sense of boundaries begins to blur. We start believing that vulnerability automatically creates trust and that openness equals connection. But that is not always true. Online vulnerability exists without crucial context. There is no tone of voice, no real-time reaction, and no emotional safety net. We share, and the internet listens. But the internet does not truly care. Yet we continue to do it because, on some level, oversharing feels like a cry for resonance. People post about their pain not always because they want sympathy, but because they want to see if someone else feels it too. They are essentially asking, does anyone else understand this feeling? When a stranger replies, same, it tells us we are just human, not broken. But here lies the paradox. The platforms that promise connection often leave us emptier. Every time we overshare, we hand over a piece of ourselves. If that piece does not receive the response we hoped for, we feel a quiet sting of rejection. This is why oversharing is often followed by regret. That moment of silence after posting, when you wonder, did I just say too much? That is your brain recognizing the difference between being seen and being exposed. Psychologists call this the illusion of intimacy. It is a mental trick where we start to believe that our online audiences are close friends, when in reality, they are mostly strangers. This is why someone might write an emotional post at 2 a.m. that they would never tell their own family. The screen feels private and safe, even when it is the opposite. The psychology of oversharing is also deeply connected to the environment. Social media platforms are built to reward vulnerability, not because they value honesty, but because emotional content keeps people watching. Studies show that posts with strong emotion, whether joy, anger, or sadness, get shared far more often. Algorithms do not just spread content, they amplify feelings. The more raw and real something appears, the better it performs. People learn, often unconsciously, that sharing pain equals attention, and attention equals worth. But what is the cost? Over time, we begin to equate our inner life with our public one. We start performing emotions rather than processing them. It is no longer, I am feeling sad, but I need to post about feeling sad. We become characters in our own emotional stories, narrating our lives for invisible audiences. Sometimes, oversharing is not even conscious. It can be a symptom of emotional leakage when the mind has carried too much for too long, and it starts spilling out through words. People share things they did not plan to because their emotional container is full. Psychologists describe this as disinhibition, where digital distance lowers the social barriers that usually keep us guarded. You feel freer to say everything you would normally hold back. But this emotional unmasking, once it happens online, is almost impossible to reverse because the internet does not forget. A story shared in a moment of vulnerability can live forever, replayed out of context. This is the new vulnerability paradox. You reveal your truth for healing, but that truth becomes content, and content becomes currency. Oversharing often reflects unmet emotional needs. It is the echo of conversations that never happened, comfort that never arrived, or love that felt conditional. People overshare because they are carrying too much, and expression becomes a form of exhale. But there is a significant danger here. When you build your identity through exposure, your sense of self becomes externalized, shaped by the reactions of others. You start viewing your own experiences as potential posts. You narrate your life as it happens, subconsciously editing yourself for engagement. The moment stops being real and becomes performative. You are no longer living it. You are documenting it. This turns presence into performance, which eventually exhausts the soul. Furthermore, digital sharing often gives us the illusion of being heard without the substance of real understanding. It feels like connection, but it is mostly projection thoughts bouncing off a screen shaped into something that looks like community. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that heavy social media sharing correlates strongly with higher levels of anxiety and emotional fatigue. Each post creates a silent expectation for validation. So, how do we step out of that loop? The answer is not to stop sharing entirely, but to start sharing consciously. Before you post, ask yourself, am I sharing this to connect or to be consoled? One comes from abundance, the other comes from emptiness. The healthiest kind of sharing happens when you have already processed your emotions privately, not while you are still bleeding from them. Once you hand your pain to the internet, you lose control of how it is held. Remember, privacy is not the enemy of authenticity. It is the soil that nourishes it. Oversharing is a symptom of a deeper hunger, the hunger to belong, to be understood, to be loved in our full complexity. But true belonging does not require exposure. It requires presence. So, next time you feel that urge to post something deeply personal, pause. Ask yourself, would this still matter if nobody saw it? If the answer is yes, write it down, but keep it for yourself. Sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that never go online. Sometimes, healing happens quietly, away from the noise. And maybe that is where we rediscover what it truly means to be human. Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing for more insights. See you next time.